Okay, all right, everybody. Good day. And today we're going to continue our series of consumer arithmetics. And our focus today will be looking at loss percentage. Moving on, what are we going to do today? Today we are simply determining and finding our percentage loss. So we're going to be looking at how to find our percentage loss, find and determine in the event that we have to determine what was the percentage loss. And find, of course, if they give us the percentage and we have to want to know how much it is that we lost. So here we have the formula that we're going to be working with. It's very similar to the profit formula, profit percentage. The only difference is that we are attaching the loss. So if we look at the previous video, loss percentage here is loss over cost price multiplied by 100. And the abbreviated form algebraically is L percent is equal to L over CP times 100. In the previous video, when we did the profit, the only difference here, instead of loss, we had profit. And likewise, I would have shown you another way in which this formula can be written. And I'll do the same thing here. So loss percentage can be the same as 100L. 100L all divided by CP. Good. And all I did here is basically I multiplied the 100 by the numerator, and that gave me 100L. In the previous one, it was 100P because we had profit, but now we're dealing with loss. Right. So with that in mind, again, you have to commit this formula to memory, and with that, you could figure out the others. In the event that we want to find the cost price here, we should be able to do that, performing basic algebra, making CP the subject of the formula. If we have to find the loss, given the loss percentage and CP, you also should be able to do that. If not, again, feel free to go back to my series of algebra, finding the subject of the formula, and you should have it a lot easier, I hope. Good. So here we have 3 examples, and we're going to focus on these 3 questions for the remainder of this video and call it a day. So let's start with number 1. Of course, before we go into it, feel free, you can pause it here and see if you could attempt it on your own. In the previous videos, we look at not problem solving, look at the tabular form of questions. So this week or today, we're going to focus on problem solving, worded problem solving, right? So let's go. Feel free to pause, attempt before I go on to it. So here we have the first question. Julian bought a school bag, for $70 and then sold it, making a loss of $30. What percentage loss he made, or what was his loss percentage? And again, it's very important that we learn the skills of deciphering information from worded problems. This comes with experience, exposure, and I would say doing a lot of similar questions. So here, let's see what we could pull out that we need from this question. So Julian bought a school bag for $70. He bought the bag. That means he paid that amount for the bag initially. So that would be that $70 there would actually be our cost price. Cost price will be 70. And then he sold it, making a loss of $30. So this $30 here represents the amount he lose. And we have to be very careful. I could easily see some of us getting caught up and believing that that $30 represents the selling price. But no, according to the question, he did not sell it for $30. After he sold it, he made a loss of $30. So we have to be very mindful and cautious there, right? And here the question now is asking us what percentage loss he made. So needless to say, for the percentage loss here, we do need to know what was we don't need to know the selling price. Everything we need is already here. So we don't even have to find out how much he sold it for, even though we could if we want to, but we don't have to because we have what we need to solve this problem. So I will go on straight into writing the formula. So I know that the formula for loss percentage is equal to 100 L all over CP. Yes, and that's what we need. That's what they gave us. So that will be 100 multiplied by 30. Yes, I'll put it like this time. So 100 multiplied by 30 all divided by our cost price. And our cost price is 70. Good. And once we do this, we should be all well and fine. So from here again, you could take your calculators, or you could find different. If you cannot use calculators, imagine this is a multiple choice. If you cannot use calculators, then you have to find ways in which you could break down this and then solve. And this could easily be done doing long division. But again, I'm making my long story short. So I have 100 times 30, that will give me 3,000. And if I divide that 3000 by 70 with my calculator, here I see that I have 42.9 degrees. Not degrees, sorry, percent. And this 0.9 is actually rounded off to one decimal place. So just so that you know, earlier sometimes you could write it 1 dp. Oftentimes I would tell you in advance how many decimal places, even though you would end up with a fraction. And as I said in the previous video, this question is not over until I state my answer. So what percentage loss did he make, or what percentage loss Julian made? So I would say he made a 20% loss. If there is such a thing as making that. It's not necessarily making it, but that's the equivalent amount that he lost. So he made a 20% loss. It's not that he made, because we know that when you make a loss, you're making less money. But in the context of the question, yes, I think we understand what we say, right? So yes, his loss was, what am I saying? Not 20%. Oh my goodness, 42. I'm getting caught up with the previous video. It's 42.9%. Oh my, look at that. Big, plain and bold error in front of this live audience. Not live, but recorded. Right, so he made a 42.9% loss. When he sold the bag for whatever price he sold it for, he made a 42.9% loss after buying it for $70. Good? Very simple question. Don't get caught up with it. Let's go on to number 2. Let's see what we could gather from number 2. So Carl sold a pants for $20. So he sold a pants for $20, but he would have bought it for $40. What was his percentage loss? So let's analyze this again. Carl sold a pants for $20. He sold it. That means that $20 is represented as the selling price, because that's the price he sold it for. So that's the selling price. So he sold the pants for $20, but she, Carl sounds like a male name anyway, but I think this is supposed to be she. But he would have bought it for $40. So that $40 there is supposed to represent our cost price. That's how much he would have bought it for. And it kind of makes sense, because we know he make a loss. So obviously the price he bought it for is not the same price he sold it for. Because if you make a loss, that means that you have to be sold cheaper than what you bought it for. So this makes sense. Good. And here the question now wants us to find out, what was his percentage loss? So again, like when we did the profit, remember, they didn't ask us to calculate the loss, but to calculate the percentage loss, we do need to know what is the loss. So here we have to recall a formula that we did 2 videos ago. So loss here would be equal to cost price minus selling price. And I'm recalling this formula from our previous video. And as I said, there are some formulas you do need to commit to memory. And with this, you could find the other formula. So here we have the cost price of $40. Cost price is $40 minus the selling price is given here as $20. So that's our selling price. So how much did he lose? He actually lost $20. So that is his loss. And now we could calculate his percentage loss. And recalling another formula, the percentage loss will be equal to 100L divided by CP. Good? That's our percentage loss. And that will be the same now. I'm just substituting my values. 100L will be 100 times 20. Just substituting values. And all this is divided by CP. And what is CP again? Our CP here is 40. So we stick into that. We ain't changing nothing. So that's 40. And from here, all we do again is just perform basic arithmetic. So here I'm taking my calculator. I know that will be 2,000. 100 times 20, that's 2,000 divided by 40. And here I get 50% loss. And again, if we're looking at the numbers, this makes perfect sense, because you sold it for half the amount you bought it for. You could look at it that way. So that is indeed a 50% loss, because you sell it half less, which is kind of sad. But yes, I guess that pant's really gone through a lot. Right, so and again, this question is not completed until I state it. So what was his percentage loss? His loss percent, this is the L, his loss percent is equal to 50. Or he made a 50% loss. Well, however you choose to write it out, as long as you word out your answer, you're good to go. And that brings us to the last question, question 3. Let's see what we have presented to us here. And here I see we have a bigger number, and this is the level, the range of question, the range of price that we might see in a CXC question, right? Enough with these small answers. Right, so let's see what we have here. So the class bought a laptop for $1,200, $1,200, and then sold it, making a 20% loss. How much did they sell the laptop for? Okay, so here we're looking for the selling price after selling the laptop at a loss of 20%. So let's gather some information. The class bought a laptop. So they bought it for $1,200, that's $1,200. So then I know that that amount of money is the cost price, right? So our cost price will be $1,200. $1,200. This is our cost price because that's how much we bought the laptop for. And I know based on the question that we made a 20% loss. So what is our loss percentage as given here is 20. Our loss percentage is 20. So what do we want to know now? We want to know how much did they sell the laptop for. So we are looking for the selling price. Selling price. That is what we don't know. So let's work with what we know. We know that the percentage loss is 20 and we know that the cost price is 1,200. To find the selling price, I actually need to know what is the loss. And I could actually find the loss from the percentage loss formula. So in the percentage loss formula, again, recalling my formula, I know that loss percentage is the same as 100L divided by cost price. Yes, 100L divided by cost price. And I have this information except for the L. So we're finding what is L. We're trying to make this L here the subject of the formula, and I have the information that I need for that. So the loss percentage we know is 20. That was given. That's given over here, 20. And I also know the cost price. The cost price is 1,200. So that's 100. The L is still unknown, so we still leave the L as unknown. We don't know, but we know the cost price is 1,200. So there we have it. And let's do our maths now. Here I could cross multiply. So when I cross multiply my 1,200, let me get a red. The 1,200 to the top. Again, go back to that video, cross multiplication. So here I would end up with 24,000. Big numbers, big numbers. 24,000 is equal to 100L. Yes, 100L. And now I want to make L the subject of the formula, so I divide by 100. Remember, to get rid of multiplication, we divide. So I divide over here by 100 also. So 100 cancels 100, and this 100 could cancel with this two last 0 here. So that leaves me with a loss of $240. Easy does it. $240. That is how much I lost. So the 20% loss is equivalent to, in terms of cash, $240. So if I know that I lost $240, I can find my selling price. And I'm going back to the formula, but I will not jump the gun. I will go back to the loss formula. So I know that loss is equal now to cost price minus selling price. Just keeping it mathematically. I know now that to find my selling price, again, I just have to play around with this formula. I know that selling price in this case would be equal to the cost price minus my loss. This will be, in this case, this is what my selling price would work out to be. And now I have these two information, so I just have to substitute and do my math. So I know that the selling price, according to this question, was $1,200 or $1,200. That's my cost price, and based on my percentage profit formula, I know that my loss is $240. So that's $240. Yep. And once I do my math, 1,200 minus $240, that will give me $960. So this will now answer the question. How much did they sell the laptop for? So after buying it for $1,200, they actually sold it for $960. So then the answer would be the class, or they sold it for, and the ET is referring to the laptop, they sold it for $960. I wonder what went wrong with the laptop. Maybe they damaged the hard drive to take out that amount of money. Or maybe they had it for a long time before they get ready to get rid of it. Right, so this brings us to the answer. They sold the laptop, not D, but they. They sold the laptop, or they sold it for $960. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Again, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And onto the next video, we're going to jump straight into discount. So we're going to work on how to calculate and how to work when given a discount. So until then, again, you take care. Later.